Hey guys, we are talking about lesson 5 today, rounding to the nearest hundred. I'm working in our math workbook, My Math. We are on page 35 and it is lesson 5. That's our lesson for today. Rounding to the nearest hundred is going to be the same rules as rounding to the nearest 10, but we're just rounding to the hundreds place. So I want you to remember in place value, we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and it goes backwards. Like when you're normally reading, you go from left to right. In place value, you go from right to left. So far, we've been working just in the tens place. Today, we are going to be putting the number in the hundreds in the house. All right, let's say I have the number 750. And if you are just doing this math lesson for the first time, you can watch, you can follow along, you can use your whiteboard, you can copy with me and do it on your whiteboard, or you can just listen for the beginning and then interact a little bit later. 750, we are going to round it to the nearest hundreds. That means I'm going to find my hundreds place and put a house around it. Ones, tens, hundreds. Here it is. That is the number that is going to be changing. But remember in the story, the number can't change on its own. It needs to go over to the neighbor's house to see what to do because the neighbor always knows the rules. We're popping on over to the neighbor. The neighbor is a number 5. Let's follow our rules and see what to do when the neighbor is a number 5. Which rule is it going to be? Oh, there it is. The neighbor is a 5. The house number goes up 1. My neighbor is a 5. My house number is going to go up by 1. Now I'm done talking to that neighbor. I've already gotten the information I need. I'm going to turn it to a 0. And every neighbor beyond it, I don't need any more help. I've already changed. So they all become zeros. And now my new number is 800. 750 is closer to 800 when I round it to the nearest hundreds. When I'm working with a number line, if your brain works better for a number line, I have 700 and 800. I've split it up into hundreds because that's the place that I'm working with today, the hundreds place. 700 and 800. In the middle would be 750. Now, if I wanted to, I could do a bunch of marks between 700 and 750 and 750 and 800. I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 50. And 750, 51, 52, 53, 54, all the way to 800. But I'm not going to take my time to do that today. I think you get the idea. So I'm going to put 750 on my board. And what's it closer to? It's closer to 800. That's why my number changed to 800. Let's try another one. My number is going to be 1,216. If you're doing it with me, write this on your whiteboard. Pause the video if you need extra time to write it down. 1,216. And we are rounding to the hundreds place because that's what my directions told me to do today. The hundreds place, lots of teachers have you underline it. I like to put it in a house. The number in the hundreds place doesn't know what to do. They need to go over to the neighbor because the neighbor is going to follow the rules. My neighbor is a number 1. Let's look at our rules. Here's the 1. If the neighbor is a number 1, then the house number stays the same. Keep it the same. I've already talked to the neighbor. I don't need their help anymore. In fact, I don't need anybody's help anymore on that side. They all change to zeros. But what about Lefty? Do you remember what we do with Lefty the neighbor? Nothing. We never talk to Lefty. We don't go over there. We don't talk to them. We don't change them. We don't ask them questions. Nada. We keep it exactly the way it was. 1,216 changes to 1,200. When we round the hundreds, that's the number we get. Let's try again. Okay. I'm going to do 4,927. Put it on your board, your whiteboard, or your paper also. 4,927. Today we are rounding to the hundreds place. Underline your hundreds place. Put it in a house. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Okay, we've got the right one. What are we going to do with that hundreds place? We have to go check in with the neighbor. The neighbor is a number 2. Let's look on our chart. If the neighbor is a number 2, what does my rule tell me to do? The house number stays the same. Keep it the same. It stays a 9. We've talked to the neighbors. We've done what they've told us to do. We don't need them anymore. They change to zeros. Lefty. We don't do anything with Lefty ever. He stays right there. 4,927 rounds to 4,900 when I'm rounding to the hundreds. I'm going to put a couple of problems up here, and I'd like you to do it on your whiteboard or your paper. We are rounding to the hundreds place today. $557 and $6,330. Those are your 2 problems that you are going to do. Ready? Go. Put them on your paper right now. And pause this video. You figure out the answers, and when you unpause it, I will be right here to show you how to do these problems. All right, you are unpaused. That means you have the answers on your paper. We are rounding to the hundreds. I'm going to put my hundreds in a house and go and check in with the neighbor. The neighbor is a number 5. Let me look on my rules. The neighbor's a 5. There it is. Then my house number goes up 1. My neighbors have helped me. I don't need them anymore. 557 rounds to 600 when you're rounding to the nearest hundred. Your answer should be 600. Let's do this one together. The hundreds place, we've got ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. We are rounding to the hundreds. Check in with the neighbor. The neighbor is a 3. Let's look at our rules. Find the 3. Boop, there it is. If the neighbor is a 3, my rule tells me that my house number stays the same. I've talked to my neighbors. I'm done with them. I do not need their help anymore. Lefty, we never ever talk to Lefty. The number on the left-hand side, no matter how many of them are, we don't talk to any of them. 6,330 rounded to the nearest hundreds is 6,300. This is what your answer should look like. For more practice on this, you can go to the page that says Independent Practice. It's page number 37 in this same math book that we've been working in. You can work on your independent practice. You can go to the next page, and there's some more independent practice on the back. These are usually the word problems where you're going to have to read it, put down your numbers in this workspace right here, and then put your answers here. This is what you need to turn in. Here is your homework. It's on page 39. It goes with the lesson that we just did, lesson 5. If you forgot how to do it, this helps you explain right here. Then there's a little bit of practice. Turn the page. And there is some more practice on the back. So that is your homework. If you need to review the lesson again, go back, rewind it, start from the beginning, and hopefully you will understand. Thanks for watching. Happy rounding.